Broadcasting live from the Wellness Wonderland, you're listening to the Wellness Wonderland Radio. I'm Katie, and each week I chat with the most inspirational people on the planet on how to stay inspired in all areas of life. As you listen, feel free to tweet at me at Katie Dalebout or use the hashtag Wellness Wonderland. I'd love to hear your aha moments. So grab your headphones and listen on the go, or cuddle up with a notebook as we dive in deep with authentic conversations right here in Wonderland.
Hey guys, I just love recording these intros. I'm going to keep it brief and short and to the point because we've got a great episode today, but I love recording these intros because it's just you and me, and I get to be super real and candid and just tell you guys how excited I am. So, couple things before we get into today's episode, which I'm so excited about. We talk about everything from body image and association with fashion and all sorts of other things, but I'm not even going to get into it. I'm going to just let you hear me explain it in a second when we go over to the show. But really quick, couple things. Today's episode is brought to you by audible.com. So if you want to support the show, if you like the show, that's a great way to do it, is just click the link in the description box or in the show notes, which are over on my website, thewellnesswonderland.com. And go over there and you can get a free audiobook for completely free. And, you know, the only reason why I'm having Audible sponsor the show is because I'm obsessed with Audible. Seriously, you guys, like, I have this massive library of books on my phone. As you guys know, I've said this a million times in podcasts, but the reason why I like podcasting is because I learn best. I'm an auditory learner, so you know I don't really love. I love reading, but I prefer to listen to books. I like to walk around and do laundry while I read and drive while I read, and Audible is super cool for that. So get a free audiobook on me to support the pod, and yeah, that would be awesome. I'm going to start sharing a book recommendation or an audiobook recommendation each show, but I'll start that next week because I have so many right now. We could spend the whole episode talking about what I'm reading. So anyways, that's that. And then the other super quick thing, guys, it'd be so awesome if everyone who listened would leave a review. Like, it would just make me so happy. It would be like my birthday or something with so many presents, and yeah, I just think it'd be really, really cool. So we're on episode 69 right now. I cannot even believe it. And we have a couple reviews on iTunes, and they're so awesome. So I used to read the review of the month, or the episode, and I'm going to get back to that. I'm going to read one today. So this one says, "Love this woman. These versatile podcasts cover a lot of ground, and they are an essential piece of my own personal wellness wonderland. I take away a resourceful tidbit of knowledge or insight every single episode. Definitely not to be missed." Oh, and that's from Celeste, who is one of my clients. Thank you, my friend. And thank all of you who have left reviews. Seriously, so nice of you guys. The reason why reviews are so cool is because it helps us rank higher in iTunes, and even more people can come to the show, which would be so cool, right? It'd be so cool, so cool. The more the merrier in my book. But yeah, you guys are awesome. Let's get right into the show. Welcome back, everyone. I am super thrilled for today's episode because we have two guests in Wonderland, the founders of my favorite site on the internet right now, StyleLikeU, which is changing the world and shifting perceptions of body and body images everywhere. And I love them. So founded in 2009, mother and daughter team, Elisa and her daughter Lily, are the founders of StyleLikeU, which is a multimedia platform that honors individuals with authentic personal style. Elisa and Lily are dedicated to combat fashion's top-down ideology that you need to be on trend in order to be in fashion, and that you need to change yourself physically in order to be beautiful. They are reconstructing fashion by highlighting genuine individuals who, as a collective, embody a culture where people are honored for their differences and connected through personal, universal truths. With each post, they are extremely aspirational and inclusive, which I love, proving that fashion is both a symbol of consciousness and confidence. They are changing people's perception of the fashion industry, including by my own, by sharing with the world that true fashion can't be reduced to a trend, a price tag, or an airbrushed photograph. I love that. True fashion is the foundation for one's identity. So I am so excited they're here to get to know them and to just genuinely see that what exactly that they do with StyleLikeU and share that with all of you guys. So I'm honestly just so grateful that this site and this platform exists. I admire you both so much and your authenticity that you guys have shared on your site and your videos about your own personal journeys, and I can relate to both of you in different ways so much. So I'm really excited to dive into your stories. So thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started by zooming the lens back and hearing a bit about your journey to StyleLikeU and how it came to be this mission that you're doing.
Well, we get asked this a lot, and it's obviously, and it's hard to like pinpoint the exact, but it's basically, I was a fashion stylist and an editor for many different magazines. I was at Condé Nast in the late 80s and 90s, and I had felt in those days that I had found my tribe, that and I found myself through this tribe of, very unique individuals. And over time, and to the point where Lily was about 15, 16 years old, I had slowly, over this period of time, 20 plus years, felt, seen this humongous change of in the industry that I was in, where there just was no true editorial, there was no true representation of expression, individuality, and there was nothing authentic, unique. It was just everything. I just felt that the editorial pages were all bought by advertisers. I didn't feel fulfilled in what I was doing. I didn't feel inspired by the celebrities that I was styling. I was yearning sort of for these days when the celebrity, the model, the subject, the muse was, just created trends and created a unique voice and changed things rather than, it coming from, money and corporate formulaic mentality. So I was extremely disillusioned with what I was doing, and literally leaving fashion shows crying, like hysterically sobbing. And all of the people that I had known from the 20 years previously were literally all in the front row, all now creative directors of magazines. And no one talked to each other. No one collaborated. No one was interested. Just a lot of fear. And I just felt, where's the art? Where's the change? I mean, you rely on fashion, music, literature, film, to create new thought and to change things and for things to evolve through these mediums, through the visions of these people. And it just seemed like it was all squashed and put into a very stagnant box that was, very uninspiring to me. And so I felt super lost and unhappy with what I was doing over this, kind of this whole cycle. And then Lily, there were times where, I'll let Lily speak now about her reasons, but there were times where I would look in her closet and say, keep your closet door open. It's prettier open. This is you in your closet. And then I'll let Lily take it from here, because then she, can talk about how she was more inspired coming with me on shoots and my friends and her friends and people that were behind the scenes. So go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I was growing up in like middle school and high school, I obviously cared about style and how I looked and dressing, and I saw my mom so creative with how she dressed every day. But at the same time, I was reading the mainstream fashion magazines and seeing only one type of girl represented, basically. and one type of style, which was just like basically skinny white girls and skinny jeans, and that was like what the trend was at the time. And so I was really confused because I wanted to be as cool as my mom and like care about fashion, and I wanted to like have that part of myself, like, you know, have a strong sense of that part of myself. But at the same time, when I would try to, I would think that in order to do that, I had to dress like these people I saw in the magazines, which never worked for me because I was really curvy and tall from like a really young age. So I was always pretty like, fashion kind of made me feel bad about myself because I would just try to fit this mold that wasn't ever going to work for me. So that was like a frustration, and so I sort of was like, I thought, then I kind of became a little bit anti-fashion because I like associated it with just feeling bad about myself and all this stuff. So I kind of wasn't into it, and I thought it was superficial and stupid, and I was like, no, I don't, you know, I'm never going to work in fashion. But then over time, like I would start, you know, as I started to get older and started to understand like the world a little bit more, I started to realize that there's a big difference between fashion in terms of what I was being portrayed in the media and in magazines, and style in terms of like people in my life and in my mom's life that had style, and the people that I looked up to and had like these girl crushes on. Like I had girl crushes on them because not because they were wearing like exactly what they saw in the magazines, but because they were really strong in themselves and comfortable in their skin, and their style was about their spirit and so much more than what they put on, and was so deeply connected to their story and who they are and what they care about and all these other aspects of themselves, no matter how old they were, no matter what, you know, body type they had, no matter where they were from. They had a style that was true to themselves. And so as time went on, I sort of started to understand that difference and realize that fashion industry and style are kind of two very different things, and that maybe I was more interested in style than I was in what was going on in fashion, and so we started the website kind of like randomly. We don't really remember like exactly, you know, that moment we were like, let's do this thing. But we just sort of organically both shared this fascination with people and people watching, and like sitting on the street. We would always like say that we could both sit on the street for like days together and like not do anything besides just like stare at people walking down the street. And so
but it was about who they were. We wanted to know. It was more like wanting to know who they are rather than just. Yeah. That's an important part of it, rather than just a photo, which then again, you know, and we don't really know where that deciding moment came where we used a video camera. That was one lucky moment, but we don't know why that happened.
Yeah, none of us had experience in video.
So we pick, you know, but we feel so grateful because there's such a huge difference in terms of seeing one's vulnerability and seeing what's behind a person, you know, in a video as opposed to just an image. The image is great and everything, but it still, again, can be intimidating to see someone with great style and not really understand their vulnerability and their story and their, you know, and how they came to be who they are and how that's represented in their style, which ultimately is what, you know, what makes fashion more accessible, you know, and not something that's, you know, that people feel they can't do, you know, oh, that's for that person, you know, to be creative and to be that comfortable in themselves. That's not for me. I think, you know, that's really important to us, is that people understand, you know, I think that from the marketing machine has become so insidious and so pervasive, and people are so brainwashed that they, you know, to just buy things and to want to, and to just consume, you know, to make a small amount of people wealthy, but ultimately it's making them unhappy. And it's really important to us to, you know, we woke up to that, or we don't buy into that. And we have so much joy in our lives and in feeling free from that. And we just really would, you know, we want to just spread that, you know, and we want other people to feel that joy and not feel like scared of clothing, scared of fashion, think it can't be them,
or think they have to be skinnier or younger or richer or, you know.
Yeah, and so somewhere along the line we picked up the family handy cam, and I was visiting Lily in college in LA, and I was really just so torn. I remember the exact day that we went to shoot the first person that we decided to shoot, who was this adorable girl who worked with Lily at Mark by Marc Jacobs when she was working at college in LA and working at that store in Melrose. And, you know, very tomboyish, very out of the box, you know, very much herself, just totally one of those alluring, mesmerizing people because of how unique and comfortable and authentic she is, and warm and friendly. And unpretentious. And so we went to her house. We had no idea what we were doing. And I remember my agent is telling me I have a shoot here with Katie Holmes. And I'm like, I don't want to do that shoot. And like, I don't want to go back to New York and do this. And yet it felt so strange to kind of start all the way at the bottom again, just all the way at the bottom. Really weird feeling, to be with this little rinky-dink handy cam, spending my day instead of making lots of money, and being, having achieved this sort of certain status and doing something that was supposedly very, high level and some, with lots of high level labels attached to it, to suddenly be like in some person's house, like in a suburb of LA with this handy cam with Lily. And to turn down, something that's big time, more or less, or what people think is big time. And right away, like within 20 minutes, we just knew that we were doing something that was just gold, because she is so excited to be speaking to the video camera. Obviously it's going on the internet. And she starts talking right away. She's pulling out all of her boxes of Nike sneakers. She has like this huge collection of Nike sneakers, and how she wears it with the boy shorts, and how that happened because she wasn't the prom girl, and she was African American, and she wasn't the blonde with the ponytail, and she didn't go to the prom, and then the icing on the cake was she starts talking about how she loves this part of her body. And she's putting her hand on her chest that's totally flat chested, and how she loves that part of her body. And that was it. Like, we just knew.
Well, because at that time, my mom is also pretty flat chested, and she was wearing like padded.
I'm very flat chested.
She was wearing padded bras and all that stuff, and then it was just like so empowering to her to hear this really cool person like love, just love themselves.
Yeah, and I never wore a bra again, and I knew that we just knew that this was something so special to, have this super cool person. Yeah. Normally, if she was just in a photo, you would never know all this. Yeah. And yeah.
I mean, I think you said it all right there with how you saw this work impact yourself, and the fact of you seeing someone else being inspired how much they loved themselves and their body quality that you had as well, and then you were able to love that in yourself. And that's what I found is the most powerful thing about the work you guys do, is because when you start this conversation with these people explaining parts of themselves that they love and that they can use as expression, it inspires other people who relate to them to then start to love themselves. And that's why I think it's important for you guys to, which you do so beautifully, have an entire spectrum of people with very different body types. And that's also, to be very honest, one of the reasons why I think it works so well with the two of you, since you have very different body types yourselves. So
exactly,
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And we belabor the diversity. Like, it's just... Yeah, I remember in the early days when we were so crazy and we had no idea what we were doing. We were posting like 5 closets a week. That was when I was a little out of control and I didn't really understand the internet and everything as well as Lily did. And I thought that's what you do, and we were, and just the one person to the next, to the next, to the next, had, I was just demanding that they were extremely different. And, we've done that all the way through, and I'm really happy to hear that you get that, because that's really important to us. Yeah.
Well, I think that's really important because, like we said, if they were all similar even, it wouldn't really celebrate body diversity. And thank God body diversity exists, because if we all were blonde and skinny and tall, that would be such a boring world, So,
yeah.
So
and you would, yeah, and it's in the struggle that you find yourself. It's like.
Yes.
Yeah, it's in that struggle, and that's, it's okay to have that. It's finding yourself is a process, and that's the point of the people that we choose, is that they're willing to be in that struggle and to be open about it and to be in the process.
Yeah, they're not always perfectly. I mean, yeah, some love certain things about their, people love their bodies, but some people are just working to loving their bodies. But that's just like that openness
and not frozen in a facade.
Mm-hmm.
Frozen in a.
I almost find that more inspiring, actually, to see the people who, don't love themselves fully and don't feel expressed in their body fully and have areas that they don't like or their age. I know, I just watched the one with, I don't even know which one it was. They all, but really all of them have an aspect where there's some part of themselves that they haven't really fallen in love with yet. And I think that is what I find most inspiring, because it shows that, this is always a dance, and it's always going to be a dance. For me, my story, the way I came to this work and sharing my journey is completely from feeling that contrast of extreme body hate and shifting it, because I think you can't really be in the one place and teach and do this work when you haven't felt the opposite. And I think that was kind of the story of each of you and a lot of the people you talk to, and it's great to see that it's never completely healed. We're always going to fall into those old patterns, and I really love that you're showing that we can all connect on that fact because of the way our society is.
And it's so
that is how we connect. Like, the vulnerability is how we connect, which is why I was crawling on my hands and knees out of the fashion tents with no one talking to each other. It's like, what is the point of that? I mean, why are we here? We're here for this exact reason, to connect to each other. That is the essential reason, in my opinion, as to why we're here. So if you have something to express, it's important to express it.
Yeah, I love that.
And everybody does.
Yeah. So speaking about that, with people and what they have to express and keeping the diversity in the episodes and the people that you feature, do you think that geographic locations and cities are important in personal style? And have you found it more about the person regardless of where they are, or can they kind of interact with their culture and environment? I know, we were talking a little bit about this before the call, and you may be coming to Detroit, my city, to explore the humans we have here, but I'd love your opinion on that and environment and how it affects people.
I think it definitely plays a really big effect, and we're extremely eager to take this beyond. We have taken it beyond New York City, but of course it's mainly New York City just because we're here.
Right.
We've taken it beyond New York as much as we can up to this point, but it is our aim and dream to have it totally outside of New York City, and to go all over the world with it, and all over the United States and all over the world with it. And I think it does make a big difference. I think it's both. I think ultimately through all of the storytelling, what's so fascinating is that there are very extreme differences and at the same time very extreme similarities, no matter how A to Z it is, which I think is, that just almost like a miraculous thing about human beings. That when you get underneath the skin and to the heartbeat of things. The similarities are just, phenomenal. It's just major, the similarities. So it's fascinating to sort of, I think at the same time, it's also, the outside part and the differences that come from that is also very interesting.
And I think that people in different cities, you definitely can see certain themes and certain, people dress to their environment a little bit. But I think that you can still sense within the different environments and the different regions and the different cultures of the different places, you can still sense who it has that freedom in themselves, who makes your head turn when they walk down the street, who has that spirit. I think that's universal and doesn't matter where you are, and you can see it in people everywhere. I think who's conscious when they're getting dressed, and who's just kind of buying into this ideal that it doesn't actually work for them or isn't actually relevant to them.
I think that in answer to your question, I think on the one hand, like Lily said, the stories are all universal. It depends on what they were pushing against that, or what were the things around them that, that created them to be, so strong in who they are, whether it was positive or negative forces. And that's universal and really fascinating. But then there's like the little details of style that have a lot to do with where they're from that I think is important and just as interesting, just in a totally different way. Like, I'm just thinking about someone like Ylva, who is this Swedish hip hop dancer who is in part of, underground Paris right now. And, like her style, I mean, just, it's so incredibly inspiring to go to a different place and it is extremely different and it is extremely inspiring. Just how they're putting things together and like,
how the culture affects them.
Yeah. And how the culture affects them. So I think it's both, it matters and then it doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And I liked what you said there, Lily, about those people who turn heads, right? Those people who you can see that they're getting dressed as an artistic expression, right? They're every day it's an opportunity to express themselves artistically, and it's an act of art. And I think you can tell that when that's how a person carries themselves in the world. And I think another big thing, and you guys have addressed this in your work as well, is the fact of being authentic when you're getting dressed. And my blog is the place for radical authenticity. That's my main theme here. And so I would love if you could talk a little bit about why just being real and being authentic and to a point where you're comfortable in what you're wearing is so important when you're getting dressed. And maybe even some tips you could have for people trying to shift out of the ideal and be more authentic when they are getting dressed to make themselves comfortable in the world and be one of those change makers and artistic expressions of style.
Well, I think being authentic, I think it's everything to be authentic to yourself in terms of your style, honestly. Like, I think it's
also like, we kind of see it as like we see like being authentic in how you dress and being conscious of yourself in that way as like crucial to like everything else in a way. Like, it's kind of like we see it as sort of like a window or
right. But which is why we chose style to deliver this message.
We're not actually, in a lot of our videos we barely even talk about what people are wearing because we just really see the style as like a window into talking to an authentic person.
Yeah.
And I think that
they could have a towel wrapped around them, honestly. Like, it could be, or they could be in a white button-down shirt, or they could be in a white T-shirt, or that it's not. It
doesn't have to be crazy.
No, it's more that you can tell the authenticity, and I think that why that's important. It's important because even our thoughts are not even, but our thoughts have energy, and our thoughts have a reaction. So if our thoughts have energy and a reaction, what are your thoughts about who you are and what you're putting on? So that has a reaction. So it makes a really big difference in terms of how the world will respond to you depending on your thoughts. And the clothing is a reflection of your thoughts. It's a reflection of your entire story. It's a reflection of your history. It says something about everything about who you are. Whether you're thinking about it or not thinking about it, you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because you got to get dressed.
Yeah, it's a part of life. And I think that you can tell, or I can tell, and I know you guys can too, when you can sense a mile away when someone is uncomfortable in what they're wearing, right? When they can't really walk in their shoes, or they just feel off with what they're wearing. And Lily, I know you spoke about this in one of your videos, that you bought something that your friends thought looked awesome on you, but you just didn't feel comfortable in it, and exchanged it for something that you felt awesome in. And I think that is such a great lesson for people to hear, that even if maybe someone tells you look great in it, or you want to look great in it, but you just don't feel amazing in it, like, people can sense that thought in you, and so then you won't look amazing in it, which is interesting.
I think that it's a couple things, in terms of how you can be authentic, tips or whatever. I think it's really about, first, are you comfortable in what you're wearing? But, Second, like, is what you're wearing, like, when you're asking yourself, are you comfortable, is that coming from a place of like how you actually genuinely feel, or how you're worried, or how you think other people are gonna react? Like, I think that that's a big thing. So
is it for yourself?
Is it for yourself?
Yes.
Someone else. So I think that
that's like a good question to ask.
Mm-hmm. So there's two questions. Like, am I comfortable? Yes, but am I comfortable because I'm worried about what other people think, or am I comfortable because it's actually like is genuine to me and I feel good in this? And I think that those are like two important questions to ask when you're getting dressed, because a lot of the time you can maybe feel comfortable, but that's only because you're like trying to fit or you think you feel comfortable, but that's just because you're worried what other people are going to think. So you're wearing something like just to fit that. But
it's like doing a painting and doing the painting because you what people are going to think about it, or writing a song, or doing it because this is something that's coming from your gut. It's exactly the same thing. That song or that painting that touches, or film, or that touches everyone, is the one that comes from the gut, not the one that comes from the head.
Yeah.
So it's really exactly the same thing. It's like, this might sound cliche or corny or like hard to do, or maybe we're not giving an easy enough answer for people, but I really do think it comes down to very much your emotions and your psyche. And I know for myself, when I'm being the most true to myself, when I'm the most centered, and clear, and grounded, feet planted, I get dressed in 2 seconds. And I feel really great about it. And I'm just going to have that kind of a day. And when I'm completely out of my mind and, let myself fall into like victimhood or, self-pity or workaholism or whatever it is, that's like not a good thing to be. Then I'm like a mess with like everything, including like getting dressed in the morning, and like it can take me 2 minutes or it can take me an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I think that another thing is just like I think like a big first step in terms of like being able to dress like as true to yourself as possible is like feeling comfortable in your body and in your skin and doing whatever you need to do, which is totally personal, to like feel good about, feel healthy in your body. I think that makes a huge difference in how you walk and how you feel in the world. So it's not about making yourself like perfectly physically fit or anything. I don't believe in that, but I think it's about like you do a consciousness of like what you're putting in your body and how you're treating your body can have a big impact on how you feel in your clothes.
And I also think it's very important to ask the question, which I think is the really big question right now, is not only are you doing this for yourself, which we mentioned, but like, how bought in are you to what you're looking at, to the influences of media? Because when you really start to open your eyes to it all, it's a bad message. Everything from, every girl looks the same, every girl has straight hair, every girl has the same body type, every, anchors, TV anchors, every image, every billboard, every magazine. It's just, it all comes down to a very narrow, image of a person, and also, and then the clothing is really just all about selling. They want you to buy that clothing. And I think it's really important right now for people to take a step back from that and how much they're buying into that. Because in the end, the it bag and the new shoe and it's got that is not going to give you good style.
Yeah.
And it's all fleeting.
Exactly.
I mean, it can, I'm not saying don't invest in something amazing or don't buy beautiful things, but is this really speaking to you, or is this something that you're doing because you think you're supposed to do it?
Yeah. So
and that's a big one.
Yeah, that's huge. All of those were really, really awesome. So, I guess I'll skip ahead to this because this is one of the big last questions I wanted to ask you guys, but you sort of touched on it there, Elisa, when you were talking about how it's a very specific everyone being the same in these photos and these news anchors and these people, and the way society has celebrated one very specific body type, straight-haired person. And so I would love, I think the work you're doing is shifting that. And so I would love to know what your dream is for women and their image of their body, and not even just women, people in general. And what do you think it will take to shift that? Or do you think that ever will shift?
I think it's shifting now. I think it's become so dark and so bland and average and homogenous, and coming from such a dark place because it's coming from relying on people hating themselves, and so that people can make money off of that. I think when things are really extremely at an extreme like this, it's at that point that they start to change, because deep down inside, people don't want to be depressed.
Yeah.
People want to be happy. So they want to feel good. So if you show them something else, they're going to go to that.
Yeah. And I think
it's kind of simple.
Yeah. And the internet. Yeah, they're fed up.
They're fed up.
And also, thank God, that the internet exists, and that all these new, revolutionary, diverse voices can be emerging and can kind of take over and take eyeballs away from some of these other entities that have in the past been extremely disempowering and created a lot of these problems, a lot of the big major fashion magazines. And I think that that's huge. So the more that the voices that, like ours and bloggers and just different people that kind of represent different ideals of beauty.
Like you.
Yeah, like you. The more that people can survive and exist and continue to celebrate alternatives, the more and the less power that these other media entities have, then the shift will occur. And we see a huge shift.
We can see the shift.
Yeah, in the last 5 years since starting StyleLikeU, in terms of not only people understanding what we're doing and what we're trying to do, but also in terms of other brands and publications that are kind of jumping on the bandwagon of this message and putting different diverse characters in their ad campaigns, and just a lot of things like that that are definite signs of things changing. We kind of joke, we have an inside joke here. My mom's always what are the modeling agencies thinking right now, because there are so many ads right now that are featuring real people and people.
And we get tons of calls.
We're doing
for that.
Yeah,
of casting.
We do a lot of castings, but it's really, I think it's changing actually pretty rapidly, and I think that a lot of the traditional entities are going to be kind of scrambling to figure out how they're going to survive.
That's
interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think the walls are crumbling down. I do. I think it's crumbling down as we speak.
That's awesome. Do you think that some of your old contacts from your fashion days, are there people still stuck in that old model that don't want the change? Are there people resisting that?
Totally resisting, hanging on for dear life. They've been hanging on for years, but it's there's no hanging on, because there's nothing to hang on to. It's unsubstantial, and they've sold out. And I'm just I'm an optimist, and I don't know whether it's that I'm a mother, I don't know what it is, or it's just my nature, or a combination of it all. But I think things go in cycles, and that ultimately we're all in a state of evolution, even though it might seem really dark. I think that it needs to be that at times for a big push forward.
Yeah, these are primitive times, and we'll look back on this as wow, things were so effed up back then.
One step back, two steps forward.
Yeah. So what would be your ideal of something to say okay, things have changed, things have shifted, what would that look like? What would be some telltale signs?
We actually just did this exercise with ourselves the other day.
We
had asked these questions to ourselves.
We did.
For the first time, we said what would the world look like if what we did.
So excited to hear what you guys said.
We had written, we actually made a list. I can read it. we said that, well, first of all, that there would be
no retouching.
Or no retouching. No more retouching in magazines and ads.
The covers of the magazines would be, like as diverse as Style Like You. That it would be that people would be chosen to be on those covers because they really are truly people to be celebrated, and not just because
they're famous for no reason.
Yeah, famous for no reason. Or even if they are famous for a reason, that there's the acknowledgement that there's a world of very interesting people out there beyond the same 3 people, because people are so desperate just to make money off of everything so quickly. What else?
What else? We said that people would compliment each other more.
Oh, the streets would be more colorful.
Yeah.
That's a great one. I think that compliments are so helpful, to love yourself and embrace yourself. And, I would like hide my curly hair for years and like straighten it. And then when people would compliment it, I would be so surprised, but it helped me, as embarrassing as that is to say. Like sometimes people need that affirmation. So this list is so good. Sorry, go on.
Oh, it's good. So people would compliment each other more. I mean, a couple of them are a little bit like vague and not as tangible, but like we said, people are more conscious of why what they're purchasing and why they're purchasing it.
Magazines would stop perpetuating, pointing out people's deficiencies.
Yeah, so like no more tabloids and magazines being like, look at who has the worst beach body and like stuff like that. And I think generally people would this is again not that tangible, but people would not like judge each other based on how they look as much.
Style is not a facade, for snobby high society. That it's it goes back to being something that's
or like style, not a facade, but like that fashion and style are not associated with like some sort of like high clubby society, like rich life.
Yeah. Back to sort of like the body, that style is something that pops up out of nowhere from like these very unique people that have they're not necessarily in part of any sort of social climb. It's not a social climbing thing.
Yes. We said that there'd be more support for artists and creative people just generally, but these are very intangible things. The most tangibles are like the no more photoshopping in magazines, like somebody else on the cover of Vogue besides the same 5 people.
Well, many other people on the cover of Vogue. Yeah. Not token age, token African American, token, the same one over and over again, like Meryl Streep, like for the older age issue for like 10 years.
Right. Yeah, that's it.
So I guess
there's like more.
We could go on and on.
No, those are great.
So those are great. People.
Uh-oh.
A big one for me would be that. A big one for me would be that art becomes that art before money, not money before art.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That whole world that you describe, I'm so excited to live in it, and I'm so excited that you guys exist, and it's going to be happening sooner because of you guys. So, thank you.
Thank you so much.
So I want to touch on, Elisa, you talk about tomboy style and embracing your body, and Lily, you talk about feeling comfortable in your shape and letting go of dieting and accepting your natural shape of your body. Could you each kind of touch on real quick the process that was for you and share on that a little bit?
Sure. Well, yeah, when I was in high school basically, I was like very, as I said earlier, like I was obsessed with trying to look good in skinny jeans and all these things, ideals of magazines that I was being shown. And so to do that, I felt like I had to lose weight all the time because I would not fit into the skinny jeans that I wanted to wear. So I would diet excessively. And I'd kind of yo-yo. My weight would yo-yo. For like about 7 years, it yo-yoed between like a 20-pound difference. And when I would diet, I would probably eat like 600 or 700 calories a day. It was like pretty ridiculous. And exercise like 2 hours a day. And even so, like I was still like a curvy girl. Like I would lose like 15, 20 pounds, but I would never be like super skinny. But at that time, I would lose my period whenever I did that. So it sort of was like my mental signal. Like once I got a little bit more conscious that like this is not what's supposed to be. Like
or very physical.
Yeah, a physical symbol. That this is not what is supposed to my body is not meant to be this way, and I'm not meant to eat this way, and I am meant to be curvy, and I have to get real with it. But I mean, what really inspired me was starting StyleLikeU, and everybody that we interviewed, you know, of different body types, different styles, like showed me that I didn't just have to listen to, you know, be the girl in skinny jeans. Like I could wear dresses, and I could wear skirts, and I could wear things that I was not really exposed to. Like I literally was only exposed to like jeans and like t-shirts from growing up. So my mind was really opened, and I started to find what felt comfortable on me. And that just really helped. That was like a big first step in the journey. And then I sort of and since then I've really let go of the dieting, and just like, you know, finding my style and knowing that I could dress a certain way that I liked, helped me kind of like let go of that self that I wanted to be like earlier on, because I hadn't been shown like a style, like a person to look up to with my body type, and I hadn't seen style represented for my body type. So once I kind of realized that I could have style still and be myself, like that was a big step. And then since then, you know, it's still a struggle, and like, you know, there's still moments where I'm like, you know, I still envy my 20-pound lighter self, but for the most part, I know that this is where I'm meant to be, and yeah, it's just been really liberating to find.
Well, you envy it by looking at it, but you don't envy what your life would be like if you were
Yeah. And what about you?
You know what went into that.
Yeah, she doesn't envy the life around that.
Yeah, and I know that it's made me, like, I know that being curvy and being in this body is like what's made me, you know, who I am. So I'm more accepting of that.
Yeah. I think a takeaway, you know, for people listening right now is to find a mentor, a inspiration icon, style icon for you that is someone who has either a same or similar body shape as you do, and be able to look to them, because it's so easy to look to other people who maybe have really awesome style and are really rocking it and really authentic in their lives, but they just have a completely different body shape than you. So it's easy to try to fit into them as a mold, but it's important to find inspiration for people, like you said, Lily, that that you could look up to know that you're okay in the body that you are. And then also, you know, the other thing I want to pick up on there, which I really, when I watched the video about this, like, I was like in buckets of tears, because it was so transformative to me, because I really find that, you know, when you look at someone in a very thin body, or, you know, a body that is maybe not the shape that they physically should be in for their frame, and you never really know what goes into that, you know, or someone who's very, very extremely fit and has amazing muscle, or what some would say is amazing muscle definition or something like that. You never know what goes into that. That could be a very, very sick person suffering from an eating disorder, or just disordered eating patterns, or disordered exercise patterns, which it sounds like, you know, your body was revolting against, and, you know, you had, and I've been there at times in my life, and, you know, struggled with that myself. So I think it's really vulnerable to say that, like, yeah, I could be a lot thinner than I am now, and I was there, and it didn't get me anything, and I lost my period, and I did, and I, you know, my hair was falling out, and I was, you know, running like crazy trying to figure out what I could eat and what I couldn't eat, and trying to keep it in a very, very controlled way of living. And you have to just decide, like, is that worth it, or do you want to live in this world? And that's why this message is so powerful. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. What about you, Mom?
So, Tomboy?
Yeah, I want to hear about that and the spectrum.
Well, let's see. You know, oh God, I mean, I'm basically, as I said, it was it was definitely a moment, the first StyleLikeU video that we did with, you know, with throwing off the bra. And I remember suffering much more with this when I was a lot younger. You know, with being flat-chested and having sort of a boyish body, I guess. It really bothered me a lot in high school. But I'm so far away from that now that, I want to give you a good answer on this, but
you're pretty comfortable.
At this point, I am comfortable. I am comfortable being this. I am comfortable in the physical sense of being, very out of the norm and eccentric. I've become much more eccentric as I've gotten older. I plan to become even more eccentric, and I really look up to people that are older than me or that have become much more eccentric and have become very free as they've gotten older, and so I have become more comfortable. I would say that the issues for me that are hard, so as far as like body and being comfortable with being tomboyish, being masculine-ish, I love it, and I want to even become, I want to flaunt it even more. Like I'm always thinking about, how, what I'm going to be into now to even, to flaunt it more. And I have become very liberated through StyleLikeU, and just through StyleLikeU and just through my instincts of what's happening right now in the fashion world, and how uninspired I am by new clothing and the lack of great new designers and the lack of the designers that I admire being able to really continue to make clothing in the artful way that I would like to. I feel very comfortable and freer than ever in just having a uniform. I feel, much less anxious about new thing, I don't look at all about what's happening. I couldn't care less. And it's just very much about just what I feel like, what I want. I have no idea what anyone is wearing or what is on a runway or what is in a magazine. I don't even look, and I don't care. And so I guess that, feels, on the one hand, it's kind of freeing and amazing. On another hand, it's kind of sad, because I do really love fashion. I do really love clothes, and I look forward to a time when this all sort of reinvents, and I think it is going to reinvent, where I can feel inspired again. And the only things that I want to buy right now aren't just things that were made at least 5 years ago or 100 years ago. I don't know if I'm answering the question.
No, that was beautiful. And I think I'm excited for it to inspire you again, too. And I think we're headed in the right direction.
Is that okay? All right.
Yeah, no, that was perfect.
I mean, I think I'm excited. I will say that, maybe this is even a little more helpful. I'm excited for the challenge of accepting, of aging gracefully, of being fine with myself exactly as it is, at my age and as I continue to age, and finding the beauty in that, and finding, the same, like even a love for myself, even a greater love for myself as time goes on, and a greater liberation in myself as time goes on, with my body exactly as it is as I am aging.
Beautiful.
I'd say that's my, that for me is the bigger challenge. The bigger challenge.
Yeah, I love that. So now I want to wrap up with getting really personal with you two, the two people behind the brand, and ask some of my signature questions. So the first thing I want to know is, what does your morning routines look like for each of you? Can you share maybe the first 3 things you do when you wake up in the morning, and how that affects how the rest of your day goes?
So on a good day, I get iced coffee. I go to either yoga or to on a run, and then maybe I clean my room as I'm getting dressed. On a bad day, I oversleep and just get iced coffee and start working, which is never a good way for me to start the day. Try to avoid that.
Okay, and I meditate, drink hot water with lemon, take the dogs out for a walk,
That's already 3.
Sorry, I'm going to do 4.
No, that's good.
Take the dogs out for a walk and get this amazing, what's it called? It's like the, oh God, I can't remember. It's some kind of like this amazing tea. It has no caffeine, but it with steam milk, and it's like some kind of Japanese amazing. It's it's some kind of like I'm spacing on it right now, but it's really good. It's like this really rich and kind of almost like hot chocolate, but it's like tea with steam milk. And then I go to the gym.
Nice.
And I do all of my social media-ing at the gym. The gym has become, where like Instagram, like catch up, Facebook news, Instagram, do the first Instagrams for StyleLikeU, plan them the night before, do them at the gym.
I love that. I do my Instagrams in the early morning as well, right after my meditation. Maybe there's something to that.
Yeah.
So how about at the end of your day as entrepreneurs, I wanted to know what it's like to work as a mother-daughter team. And especially, I wanted to ask you guys about your evening routines, maybe the last few things you do winding down, and how you guys switch out of, business partner mode and back into being family and mother-daughter.
Well, like a lot of the time we work out of my mom's apartment, which is a few blocks away from my apartment. So a lot of the times I'll stay for dinner after we finish working, which we're pretty, honestly, we're like pretty imbalanced, I think, with like the turning off aspect of what we do, right? I mean, you're working on it.
We've learned to turn off on the weekends.
Yeah, the weekends
this summer.
We're better.
This summer for the first time in 5 years.
We don't really turn off. Like, honestly, like at dinner with when I stay for dinner with my parents, it's usually like my chance to like ask my dad, who like helps us with certain like business things, ask him a bunch of questions like while we're eating. Like, it kind of doesn't stop. And I think
the weekdays are pretty much a 12-hour ongoing thing, and
it's pretty bad.
It's that's not so. But at the same time, we sort of love. I mean, not sort of. We love what we're doing, obviously, and it obviously takes a lot of work to do what we're doing, and we're a small group. So that essentially, it isn't like we don't really turn off that well. At the very, very tippy end of the day, close to midnight, I get in the bathtub and I breathe. And then I read. It really helps me a lot. I will not read anything related to anything that I'm doing or anything, related to anything. I have to get into something that's, very, very much an escape. Right now, I'm obsessed with Damien Eccles, who was the Westminster.
You guys post that on Instagram.
He was in prison for 18 years for something that he didn't do. So it's related in that he's, done something really hard, and he became a Buddhist to get through it. And he's someone that really has persevered through a lot to get to where he is. So something like that, really, I always gravitate to stories like that, because this is very hard, and it's been all of our lives, and we've sacrificed a tremendous amount. So diving into someone else who's done something really hard, and that's very inspiring. That's what I do at the end of the day. I can't wait.
Yeah,
so.
But I mean, mother-daughter.
We kind
of are always like
jumping back and forth between the two.
Mother-daughter and business partners. Like 1 minute one minute during the day we'll be like having a serious meeting, and then I'll be like, talking to her like a baby about like some boy problem or something like that. It kind of is always bouncing back. It doesn't like switch off at night to be back to mom and daughter, but it's kind of always bouncing between the two. Although at nighttime, sometimes you get more motherly with me. Like, she'll send me a text like, right before I go to bed, that's just like some sort of motherly thing that's like, you're just so amazing and I'm so proud of you, and da, 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 da. But she might not do like so much during the day while we're like hustling around. She'll like have this reflective moment after her bath or something, where she'll then like text me this like long sweet thing, or like, it's gonna be okay, or stuff like that. Encouragement. Yeah, so there's both.
I mean, the lines are blurry and it does get a little complicated, and I think there's been times where we're off center with it more than others, depending on where each of us is in our lives, especially me. So I, all along I've had to work very hard to stay extremely centered. I'm a center and balance is not my middle name. Don't get me wrong. I'm a very manic, extreme person. I have to work very hard to be centered, but working with Lily has kind of forces that in me, because I have to. She's very honest and is a mirror to me, just like your kids are. They're just mirrors. So it really bounces back and reflects to me always, so your kids do. So the relationship has forced me to be very honest with myself. And I think on her side, I'll speak for her. I think that if she can change, she can tell me I'm wrong. But I think being in the confines of this relationship on her part has forced her to be more herself than if she was away from me. So in that way, we're being together is helped us to, be our best selves. And I think that's been really true. Or it would never work. It wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't be working this long.
Yeah. I think that's the true test of a good business relationship and a family relationship, is that you can transition between the two with such grace and ease.
Yeah, and look at this and be each other's mirrors, being honest.
Yeah, I mean, when I started, I didn't think I wanted to. I was stressed about working with her because I used to be really shy. And she was always kind of such a big personality. So I was worried that working together, I would just kind of be overshadowed by her. And the opposite thing has really happened. By being together, I've actually found myself, and
she's the boss.
Yeah, kind of boss my mom.
And overshadows me. And steps on my foot in meetings, tells me to be quiet.
And you allow her to shine too. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest thrill. The biggest thrill. I mean, I really feel right now, we all find our comfortable places, and it shifts around, and it shifts all the time. But I really feel like at this point, and rightly so, and properly so, and appropriately so, and happily so, I really feel like this is, if I had to make it, if I had to weigh it on a scale at this point, I would say this is more Lily.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's equal.
You guys are so cute.
Yeah, I would say that it's her show.
No.
Yeah. She's taking it into the next place. She is. There's no doubt. I started the whole thing and created this whole big creative mess, and now she's taking it into the 21st century and into a business, and it's her.
Well, I think it's really cool to have the generational gap between you guys, where, Lily can have the mindset of, where our generation is and where the internet is, and you have the past relationship with fashion, that it just makes, that's what makes it so freaking awesome, and I love it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. So you guys ready to wrap with some quick fire questions?
Sure.
Okay, just say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
So, favorite colors?
Purple.
Lavender.
Favorite day of the week?
Saturday.
Favorite hour of the day?
11:30 p.m.
Yeah. 7 p.m.
Favorite vegetable?
Avocado.
Yeah,
avocado. Both of you? Yeah, it's such a good one. Favorite fruit?
Nectarine.
Strawberry, maybe? Strawberry.
What's the best thing you've eaten in, say, the last week?
Oh, my brother is an amazing chef, and he makes this delicious panzanella salad. It's really amazing.
What's that? What's in that?
It's like bread. It's like this chunky, chopped, big chunky vegetables with bread and cheese that are all it's all really and chunky. Chicken. But there's no chicken, and there's no lettuce. It's just a non-lettuce, chunky vegetable, cheese, and chicken.
In our family, Louis, Lily's brother, they live together, cooks for her. And my husband cooks for me. Since we've started this, we have no time to feed ourselves or do anything. They're the cooks. Yeah.
I love that. That is super cool. Every business should have that for their entrepreneurs. Yeah. Favorite way to relax?
Beach.
Sun.
Yeah, sun.
Sun baths. Yeah. Russian baths, sun.
Okay, now I want to ask you guys some of the questions that you ask your subjects. So where do you feel most vulnerable in your bodies?
Where do you think?
Most vulnerable.
My thighs.
Or when, I guess.
Same.
Oh, when?
Yeah.
In a bathing suit.
Oh, most vulnerable in a body. I'd say the same.
You're
I
like
guess.
pretty chill about your body, generally.
No, I'm not. Bathing suit. I'd say bathing suit.
What does your style say about your personality?
That I am warm and inviting.
For me, a rebel, a romantic, rebel, romantic, and a peasant.
I love that. When do you feel most beautiful?
Like when I'm taking good care, when I'm eating well, taking good care of myself, like generally on the weekends when I've like taken a minute away from the screens and I'm just like breathing, exercising, eating well outside. You?
Yeah, on the beach.
Nice, when you're relaxed.
Yeah, on the beach. I'd say on the beach.
What are the primary influences in your styles for each of you?
A primary influence. I mean, I guess like probably my mom is my primary influence, although we don't have the same style because of like we don't have the same exact items and we aren't drawn to this, but like certain aesthetics and just a general attitude about style, I would say comes from my mom. You?
God. Primary. I mean, I'd say definitely Patti Smith.
Oh yeah.
Patti Smith probably would be. Like if I had to say Edwardian men. Edwardian men, Patti Smith.
You're
the
so cool.
The Rolling Stones.
So cool.
The Stones girls. Oops, sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, this one, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Tribes.
Cool.
Tribal culture, indigenous cultures by Frida Kahlo. Yeah.
How do you respond to "in your body is a good place to be"?
Lily did What's Underneath today, and I'm doing it tomorrow.
Oh, cool. So we'll see this.
Should we make you wait and see what we say on that?
Yeah, and we'll post it.
Okay.
We'll post it to the show notes of this. So for everyone listening, they asked that question to everyone on their What's Underneath webisodes, and each of them said that they just did it. So we'll post those episodes below. So to be continued on that question.
Yeah.
It's a hard one to answer quickly.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear your answers, though, for sure, especially since it's such a good question from you guys. So if you could have a superhero power for a day, which one would it be?
Creating money trees.
No, but you want a superhero power.
Oh,
Is there a
yeah, I
superhero?
can make money to fly from the sky. That'd be great.
Like, do you want to, like, if we had a superpower, what would we do?
Yeah. Like what's, like, anything.
Fly.
If we had a superpower, what would we do?
Oh, like would you travel? Would you time travel? Fly?
For a day, I could do whatever I wanted to do.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I can't decide whether it's rip Anna Wintour's sunglasses off of her face.
That's not a superpower.
Oh, superpower.
We're really bad at this question.
That's cool, though. I like that.
Like, to be a fly on a wall in
invisible.
Yeah, to be invisible, that'd be pretty cool. But that'd also be terrifying.
No, if I was going to be a superpower, it would have something to do with StyleLikeU and like being able to like,
You're invisible. You could
create like create something, super magical. If I had a superpower, what would I do?
There's like 3 options. It's like fly, time travel, be invisible.
No, I wouldn't do something like that with a superpower. I would do something like that would change the world. I would do something that would change the world, like in a day, quickly, like peace. Peace on earth for the day.
Just relax.
Yeah, why not?
I love that. I love that.
Earth peace, total peace on earth
For a day.
for a day.
That's an awesome answer. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have a favorite webisode of anything that you've created, or are they kind of like your children and it's hard to pick, or does one stick out for each of you?
No, they're like our children. It's super hard to pick.
We're madly in love with everyone that we've shot.
I love that.
Yeah, we truly are.
Me too.
Thank you.
Favorite movies?
I just saw Obvious Child and I was pretty obsessed with it.
Annie Hall.
Favorite book?
The Year of Magical Thinking.
Favorite book. Anna Karenina.
Favorite song?
Oh boy.
Favorite song.
Oh yeah. That's really difficult.
Like a Rolling Stone, Bob Dylan.
Yeah,
It's a great song.
Yeah,
Well, there's so many, though. I'm just saying it. I'm just saying that, but like, there's so many. Sympathy to the Devil. I love that song. Is that like Wild Horses? I love that.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. So, what are you guys most excited about in your life right now? What's next for you?
Well, like on any level, personal.
Yeah, whatever's the thing that's like filling you up and making you most excited.
Well, we're really excited. Well, the What's Underneath project for sure is just like really exciting to us, and we have big plans for taking it across the country, and doing a big Kickstarter campaign to get more people involved. So we're really
to create
excited about
user
that.
generated.
Oh yeah, we're also excited because we're working on turning one of our series into a TV show right now. It's
Second Skin.
called Second Skin, where 2 people with opposite styles swap clothing for a day.
Oh my God, that's gonna be so cool.
Yeah, so we're hoping. I mean, it's fingers crossed it's going well that's gonna be on TV. So those 2 things are really exciting for us right now.
Yeah, and you guys are gonna come visit me in Detroit and see what's underneath here.
Exactly.
I can't wait. So the last question. This has all been wonderful. And so as you guys know, the name of this podcast and the name of my blog and my platform is The Wellness Wonderland. So when I offer that term to you, to live in a wellness wonderland, what comes up? What does that mean to you guys?
Healthy food.
Healthy mental state. Liberated.
Not looking at your phone too often.
Being free in yourself to live your dreams and to face the fears and to face failure and to keep going and never give up and find your calling.
And not compare yourself to others, but compare yourself to yourself.
So good. This has been amazing. Thank you guys so much for being here and sharing yourselves so authentically and playing along with my questions. You guys are really awesome. Is there anything else that you guys want to share?
No, that was awesome.
We only sound awesome because you're awesome. Yeah. You ask good questions.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks for listening. You made it all the way to the end. I'll be back next week, but until then, let's stay inspired and keep this conversation going. So tweet at me at Katie Dalebout and our guest with your aha moments from this conversation. And like the Wellness Wonderland on Facebook, so we can all hang out there and discuss how inspired we are and how we'll apply it in our daily lives. And never miss another episode or post from me by signing up for email updates on thewellnesswonderland.com. See you back in Wonderland.